Victoria Tsou, come on. Did I say your name right?
Sorry. Okay. Read. 去看书, or in Chinese, to read, was all I ever heard when I was younger. When my parents would pick me up from school, they'd ask me if I finished my homework. I'd tell them no, and then they'd remind me to read for 30 minutes. So I'd constantly get reminded to read every single day. And as much as I liked reading, it was nothing compared to being able to play the computer. Especially since I got, for my 8th birthday, Barbie as the Princess Bride CD-ROM. So one day, when I was finally able to play the computer, I took the disc and I inserted it in the white chunky computers that we had back then. And then it finally loaded, and then I was so into it, dragging flowers onto the cake, making Barbie's dress perfect, because, it was Barbie's wedding. She had to be perfect, right? So as I'm playing, I suddenly hear my sister pounding on the steps, running, and then she comes into the room. And then I know what she's going to ask. And she asks, "V, it's my turn. Get off the computer." And then I think, no one gets between me and my Barbie. So I tell her, no, because, I was a 3rd grader. I had a lot more experience with the mouse. She was 1st grader. She could barely, hold it correctly. So she asked me again, and I told her no. So she runs downstairs to get my mom because she's a tattleteller. So my mom walks upstairs and she's very angry because she always has to dissolve our arguments. So she has her hands on her hips and she has a very scary and mean face on. And then she tells me in her serious voice, "Vicky, go read." And then, I'm so mad at my sister for being a tattleteller, and I'm mad at my mom because, I felt like I deserved to play the computer. So, I blew up and I told her, no, I deserve to play. It's my turn. And, I was taught never to talk back to elders. Not that my mom's old, but, I was to authority figures. So I knew that I had done something wrong, and so I got up the seat and I walked to my room. And because I was still mad, I slammed the door. And I was sitting on my bed, and then a few moments later, my mom knocks on the door, and she says very meanly, "Read." So I'm sitting on my bed, and then I scan my bookcase, and then there's nothing to read. I mean, I just finished Harry Potter, and I was pretty proud of myself, but, other than that, there wasn't really much to read except for, no offense, a boring issue of National Geographic magazine that I tried to read before, but, the terminology was kind of difficult to understand. And so I just, nah, I'm not going to read that. And I was still angry, so I screamed into my pillow. And then I just suddenly thought of my 3rd grade teacher who told me, if you were ever to get angry, you should count to 10, and in between counting the numbers, breathe. So I did that, and it made my anger subside, but not completely. So then I also remember my teacher telling me to step into someone else's shoes if I were ever to get into an argument. So then I thought, why would my mom want me to read? And then suddenly I just recall her telling me a story about her childhood, how she grew up in China in the 1970s under the rule of Chairman Mao. And all she ever was given to read was Mao's Little Red Book, full of his quotes about, workers' unity, progressive society, other stuff like that, political stuff. And as much as she wanted to read fairy tales or things about Scotland or Shakespeare or Africa or Australia, anything and everything, she wasn't able to, because it's not like she could go to the library and like I could and get the stuff, because the foreign material just wasn't there. It wasn't available then. And then I thought, you know what? I'm giving Harry Potter, I'm giving Encyclopedia Brown, I'm giving Junie B. Jones, I'm giving Magic Tree House. I think I know why my mom wants me to read, because she was never able to. She wants me to read because I can. And then I got it. My mom wants me to read because I can. And because she was never able to, that I should. So I grabbed the National Geographic magazine off my bedstand and I read it. Thank you.
Come on for Victoria.